No, I'm glad to hear that actually. But oh, hey OCF, thank you for joining us today. I'm joined once again by Father Niko Tzetzis, and today we're going to be discussing another tone.
Yes, we are. And we talked about it a little bit. We're going to go next with Plagal first. So we went first, second, and now we're not going to do third and fourth. We're going to jump over those. We're going to go to Plagal first.
First question right off the bat: what does Plagal mean? And yeah, what's the difference between Plagal first and first tone?
Right. So I'm not going to so much talk about Plagal as a term that gives us direct instruction, right? We recognize that it is a modification of first mode in some way, right? Plagiazo, this to recline, to lay on one's couch, or whatever. This word gives us some information, but it doesn't actually apply exactly. Like, I don't want us to get caught up in what Plagal of the first means in a theory sense. I want us though to recognize that they're related. And this is the first time we really can talk about how there are 8 tones, but we don't number them 1 through 8. We number them 1, 2, 3, 4. Plagal 1, Plagal 2, Varis, and Plagal 4. So they're related. And that's why calling this 5th tone is something I'm going to stay away from. Mm-hmm. It's not helpful. It actually takes away the relationship that Plagal first has to first mode. So they're related.
Okay.
Let's not get caught in the weeds with how they're related. That's for later. But
well, yeah, that's for the next course down, right. Down the line. So when do we use Plagal first in the church?
I mean, the easiest and most obvious example is on Pascha, on Easter, right? Christos Anesti, Christ is risen, is in Plagal first. So that's like the most obvious answer. The one hymn above kind of every other hymn is in Plagal first. So that's when you're going to hear it for sure. When else do we use it though? We use it every 8th Sunday, because we rotate the hymns. Mm-hmm. And we also will hear it every Sunday in the Eulogitaria. So if you go to Orthros, or if you hear it in a memorial service. Right, blessed are you, O Lord, teach me your statutes. That's Plagal first.
Okay. So that makes this easier, because those are all very recognizable hymns in different parts of the service that we can hear it in.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities to hear Plagal first, and like second mode. Remember, we talked about how second mode has there's structural elements of the service where you hear second mode every single week. The same applies then to Sunday Orthros, where you're going to hear those Eulogitaria, those hymns, every Sunday. They're going to be done in Plagal first. You're going to get that chance to hear them. You just have to go for Orthros.
Which I love waking up. I'd even do the pre-Orthros prayers. Wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, this is a good opportunity to say, if you're going to learn chant, you need to go to Orthros. Mm-hmm. Liturgy is not, you're not going to get a very good cross-section of Byzantine chant in the Divine Liturgy. Especially to parish with a choir or anything like that. Typically, you're going to hear the same thing every week. Orthros is where you're going to hear a lot of different hymns that move and change and all that.
I've heard that I think you've actually told me that before too. And coming from like the memorial service and right at Christ's resurrection, how would you describe Plagal first? Like the feeling and all that.
Mm-hmm. So I talked about, if we compare it to first mode, I talked about first mode as that kind of earthy, really grounded tone. Plagal first is a little bit more heavenly. It's a little bit more disconnected from that earthy sound. It almost kind of just shifts up in tone by 4 notes. It's not really it. If you're looking for music theory, that's not where you're going to start. But for the casual listener, it's going to sound like it's just a little bit higher and floats a little bit more. Plagal first has that beautiful kind of light feel to it. It also has a kind of somber harmolipi, right? This joyful sorrow. It's not just pure like joy. It's kind of like something's sad yet beautiful about it too.
So I feel like we pretty much covered the what Plagal first hymns that everyone would be familiar with. Would you want to go more specific into that?
Yeah, I mean, hymns you need to be familiar with in Plagal first, right? The Evlogitaria, I talked about them, right? Blessed are you, O Lord, teach me your statutes. That during Orthros, that teaches us one specific type of Plagal first, that kind of upbeat, quick Plagal first. There's another slower version of Plagal first that I think another hymn that you really want to know is Anastasia Osimera. It is the day of resurrection, right? You'll hear it again in the Easter season. You'll hear it starting on Pascha, and you'll hear it all the way for the next 40 days. And that's the one, if you come at the very end of Orthros, if you show up right at the end, you're going to hear it throughout that whole season. It goes, Anastasia Osimera, que l'ambritho menti panigiri. It's going to show us that slower again, that joyful sorrow, that there's a sadness, but it's not sad, not even a little. It's powerful. It's that victory over death, but we have the recognition of death and that victory over death. And honestly, if you learn those two, you're pretty good with Plagal first. One more thing you need to know, one more hymn you definitely need to know, other than Anastasia Osimera, it's important to know, and the Evlogitaria. I think it's really important to know the resurrectional hymn for Plagal first, maybe more important than any of the other resurrectional hymns. And the reason, Ton sinan archon logon, is that hymn, right? Let me chant it for a second. Ton sinan archon logon patrike pneumati, ton ek parthenu techthenda isotiri animon. This hymn is also a prosomion. It's a hymn that other hymns are modeled after. So if you go to a church, if you go to Saint Sophia and her three daughters, right? If you go to a parish at Saint Sophia and her three daughters, I grew up in one. The hymn for Saint Sophia is that same melody. Like a most fruitful olive tree, you did blossom forth. Same thing. So that's another really important one to know.
So what would you say is Plagal first progression?
So I think let's look at it in terms of first mode again, right? So first mode, ananes mi papa pavi. Pavi is all the time. You hear all the time in first mode. In Plagal first, you hear pavike. So instead of ananes, it's going to be ananes. And if you want that to hear that ke, ananes. So you have that ke and that pa, and those two notes are both going to be the ones you hear all the time. Anastasia Osimera pavike. So it's going to sound a little like first, but you have to know how it's different. And all of a sudden it sounds completely different.
I think that's a good distinction. So we're listening to all this. We once again, we've bought into this. How do we sit down and practice this Plagal first?
Practicing Plagal first, I would recommend really just, you should know the Evlogitaria. Like you should listen to them chanted and know those inside and out, because that's going to teach you just kind of the most simple, basic, quick version of Plagal first. Now, that's not going to help you that much, and it's probably going to throw you off from learning Anastasia Osimera. You should know that one by heart too. Like you should have that one memorized. English, Greek, either one's fine, but you should have that melody memorized, because if you have those two melodies memorized, you know the two most common sounds of Plagal first. And the third thing I'd say, memorize. You need to be memorizing the resurrectional hymn for Plagal first, more so than any of the others. Mm-hmm. It really gives you an important melody that you need to have in your heart.
I feel like you've really laid out a real concrete plan to fully understand or begin to understand and appreciate Plagal first. Is there anything else you'd like to add on Plagal first?
All I'll say is that little fun thing that you're going to find as you start learning and listening to Anastasia Sumera, it ends with Christos Anesti. So every time you practice that, you're going to be chanting the resurrectional hymn, Christ is risen. And that's just always a good idea, even out of season.
Pick me up for any day, seeing
right.
Christos Anesti, Christ is risen.
Right.
But thank you so much once again for educating all of us and helping us appreciate another tone of the Orthodox Church. Everyone, please follow Father Niko Tzetzis on TikTok and follow OCF. Please like, comment, subscribe, send this video to your friends if you enjoyed it. Even if you didn't enjoy it, send it anyways. And please check back in to see some more content that we're coming out with. Thank you all, and have a great day.